Two-thirds.
Two-thirds, majority. There will be an advocacy committee that can help see that some sort of action actually takes place. Now, the legislature is going to do something. This committee was formed because the board of directors, realized that the legislature is going to do something. And this committee was formed to help look at the issue and present recommendations. So if the minority report carries the day, then that's it. That's done. Poor Oregon legislature, they're on their own. And if the minority report carries the day, we can have some influence. So I just want to point that out to say, think about the effect of a vote either way. Thank you.
Anyone else for the minority?
Real basically and quickly, I don't think it does. I don't think it's cut and dry like that. I really do think it was a surprise to me that if we vote for either the minority or the majority, it will still be the majority. If we add the minority, it will just. Is this the way I understand it, Greg? Is that it will just. I don't understand how that works, but it's not an either or. It's adding our concern that we strongly feel that it should be abolished, but it's not abolishing it, right? It's really amending.
It does add the minority, so a vote for the minority recommendation adds the minority as the primary objectives of any advocacy efforts that go forward. If you look at the way it's structured in the executive summary, it would take those and place those as effectively kind of 1 and 2 of the objectives of any advocacy efforts. It would take the majority recommendations and place them as effectively 3, A, B, C at sequential following.
So in effect, it does talk about abolishment, but doesn't really do it. It really amends it to protecting confidentiality, and it really does follow through with the majority report.
It places the minority objectives above the majority objectives.
Thank you. And on the majority? Yes. Mm-hmm. How much time do we get?
2 minutes.
Gail Meyer, City Club member. I did want to address the question of what's the purpose of the registry to begin with. I'm a criminal defense lawyer and participated with efforts in the legislature in 2013 addressing the registry with respect to adults. The registry started initially as a tool for law enforcement to be able to identify sex offenders when an incident occurred in the community and they did not know who the offender might be. The belief was that once a sex offender, always a sex offender, and that of course it would be a serial sex offender who would be offending in that instance. That's since been refuted. Most sex offenders who end up on the registry don't reoffend. It really has very little legitimacy when you're talking about juveniles, because juveniles, when they offend, typically offend with other juveniles whom they know. And so it's not going to be a tool for law enforcement, because when they talk to the juvenile who offended you, the juvenile is able to identify the offender right away. So with respect to this, though, I do think that the Juvenile Sex Offender Registry does have many unintended consequences and has very harmful impacts for youth who end up on it. But I am going to vote for the majority report. I do believe that there are juveniles who do very bad things, who are volatile, who are dangerous. And those few kids probably do deserve to be on the registry. They will be eligible to petition yet again later in their lifetime to get off. But that's only through proof of lawful conduct at that point. There are just a few kids for whom I think there's a legitimate basis, but I do very much applaud the thought that the Juvenile Sex Offender Registry for the majority of the kids serves no useful purpose.
Thank you. Anyone else on the minority side? Anyone else on the majority side? Thank you for your comments. The debate has concluded. We will now proceed with a vote on the motion to add the minority recommendations to the report. A simple majority vote determines whether or not the club amends the report by adding the minority recommendations. We will count only if the vote is so close I cannot determine the result. Please raise your ballot if you agree with the motion to add the minority recommendations to the report.
Just raise your hand.
Raise your hand. Hi.
Thank you. Please raise your ballot if you disagree with the motion to add the minority recommendations to the report. City Club has voted against the motion to add the minority recommendations to the report. The microphone will now be given to the adopt or reject the positions to adopt the majority recommendations. Again, each member will have 2 minutes to testify, and the parliamentarian will help me enforce our 2-minute rule for member comments at the microphones by flashing a 15-second warning card indicating the time is running out. We will first recognize a member favoring the adoption of the report. Is there anyone who would like to speak to favoring the adoption of the report? Is there anyone who would like to speak to not favoring the adoption of the report?
Can you make
No?
it clear that people can come up even if they've spoken before?
That's correct. Even if you spoke before and you would like to speak again, that's perfectly acceptable. Anyone on either side? Okay. The debate has concluded. We will now vote on whether to adopt the majority report. A simple majority vote determines whether or not the club supports the report. The final tally will include ballots cast in person today and cast online between November 13 and November 17. The results of all votes will be announced online on November 18. If you wish to vote today, please indicate your vote on your ballot at this time. Please be sure your name is printed on your ballot, and if you turn in your ballot before you leave today, you will not receive an email ballot. Thank you to Annalisa, Claudia, and the committee for their hard work.
I assume agree is support, right?
Agrees to accept the report.
Agree to accept.
We are adjourned.
Thank you very much.